Not everyone likes the same actors. One man's Marlon Brando is another man's Rob Schneider, although that second man is a very bad person. It's usually their movies that makes fans hate particular actors, and thanks to typecasting, some thespians end up playing the same character over and over and over again forever. But what if there's a tender-hearted performance in Steven Seagal's arsenal? What if Chuck Norris just wants to play a down-and-out dancer? Those transformative roles can happen, and they can have absolutely amazing results. I'm Adam from Whatculture.com, and here are 10 movies that changed your mind about actors you hated. Number 10, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Jim Carrey. The world has always seemed fairly evenly divided on Jim Carrey, and while he's always made money and been entertaining, he has something of a reputation for grating on people. Still, although The Truman Show proved he was capable of excellent dramatic acting, it still had a fair share of his "somebody stop me" moments, and it wasn't until he took the utterly toned-down role in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind that the world realized there was more to the guy than rubber faces and shouting. Number 9, The Aviator, Leonardo DiCaprio. It may seem unthinkable now, but young Leo spent a fair whack of his career with people thinking he was a talentless pretty boy. Nowadays, of course, he's one of Hollywood's most acclaimed and sought-after actors, but it took Martin Scorsese and the triple threat of Gangs of New York, The Aviator, and The Departed to inject his career with that dose of oomph that it sorely needed. In The Aviator especially, Leo proved himself to be an incredibly accomplished actor, and after he was nominated for an Oscar for his turn as Howard Hughes, people decided that actually, yeah, alright, he's good. You're allowed to still hate how handsome he is, though. The f***ing congeniality bastard. Number 8, 21 Jump Street, Channing Tatum. Before his turn in 21 Jump Street, the words Channing and Tatum inspired about as much anticipation as a scoop of vanilla ice cream covered in Brill cream and Beatles. It wasn't until he was cast alongside Jonah Hill in 21 Jump Street that we realized Tatum was actually cool, and not just a bit cool, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson levels of cool. His turn in the brilliant remake as a borderline mentally disabled undercover cop is simply hilarious, and when he jumped through the gong, every single man, woman, and child fell in love with the best dancer in Tinseltown. Number 7, In Bruges, Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell was a very hit-and-miss actor. Now and then he was good, but there was always that sense that he was holding himself back. Then came 2008's In Bruges, in which Mr. Farrell, as Ray, an Irish hitman who escapes to Belgium for the weekend, manages to turn in a bloody astonishing performance. Vulgar but tender, roguish but utterly lovable. Think about that. Colin Farrell made you fall in love with one of his characters. Even if he never impresses you again, when someone asks you, do you like Colin Farrell, you will have to say, well, he was great in Bruges. Number 6, Magnolia, Tom Cruise. Even the most outspoken Tom Cruise detractors would probably argue that his turn in Paul Thomas Anderson's strange and haunting ensemble drama Magnolia is something extraordinary. The actor, who continues to divide the world with his whole being gigantically mental shtick, plays a motivational speaker called Frank Mackey, and it's just so very un-Tom Cruise. There's something mysterious, honest, heartbreaking, and terrifying in each and every one of his line deliveries. And if this performance doesn't convince you that Tom Cruise can act, nothing will, except for maybe Tropic Thunder. Number 5, Hollywoodland, Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck pretty much drove his popularity into the ground when he chose to appear in one bad movie after another at the dawn of the millennium. After Jiggly, Turkey Time, Gobble Gobble, and SuckMyDick.com, after that movie erased even the slightest goodwill that Chasing Amy and Good Will Hunting gave him, he seemed doomed to be a poster boy for Poopy. He disappeared for a while, but re-emerged in 2006 with Hollywoodland, in which he played unlucky star George Reeves. Suddenly everyone was like, oh, Ben Affleck's good now? What? Then he doubled down as a director, making brilliant movies Gone Baby Gone, The Town, and Argo, all of which were released to critical acclaim. Number 4, Rachel Getting Married, Anne Hathaway. A lot of people hate Anne Hathaway, and while she hasn't really done anything to deserve such levels of bizarre dislike, there is something inexplicably irritating about her performances, like watching her in certain things as The Princess Diaries, Les Miserables, and The Princess Diaries 2, Royal Engagement. That can be an exercise in patience, but then she appeared in Rachel Getting Married, and she's so good in it that it almost felt like her career until that point was some form of long con. And then she became Catwoman. Sunrise, sunset. Number 3, JCVD, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Okay, hate is too strong a word when it comes to describing the public opinion on martial arts maestro Jean-Claude Van Damme, but there probably aren't lots of people who've really cared about what he's done for the past 30 years or so. There's one underrated little gem of a film in there, though, called JCVD, that contains such an honest, subtle, and heartbreaking performance from the actor playing himself caught up in a bank robbery that it literally forced you to reconsider his entire body of work. My God, maybe his work in Double Impact was revolutionary after all. Number 2, Punch Drunk Love, Adam Sandler. Nowadays, it's hard to think of Adam Sandler in positive terms. God knows I don't in any of the videos I've made for the past 2 years. But there was a time where this guy was considered to be a comic gem of sorts. Alright, so gem is a bit strong, but Happy Gilmore and The Wedding Singer were great. Then it all went badly pretty quickly, and he became an awful performer. Just an awful performer. Look at him. He's an awful performer, which makes his turn in Paul Thomas Anderson's Punch Drunk Love Frustrating. He was virtually unrecognizable, offering a performance that was so subtle that the fact that he then made Jack and Jill, now that feels like a personal insult. And number 1, the Lincoln lawyer, Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey has done something so close to impossible. Midway through his career, he's completely rebranded himself, and on purpose. Sick and tired of appearing only in critical failures and having people question his acting abilities, he set out to start again. And boy, did he start again, and again, and again. And that rise can probably be traced back to his role in The Lincoln Lawyer. It's not the greatest performance ever, but it was a statement of intent from the man who previously only played shallow topless himbos. Then followed Bernie, Magic Mike, where he played a nuanced topless himbo, Mud, Killer Joe, The Paperboy, Dallas Buyers Club, and a goddamn Oscar. Unreal. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Tell us about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from Whatculture.com, and I'll see you soon.